Hi, I'm Melinda with MartinPublishingServices.com. I also admin the self-publishing support group, and this video is going to focus on the differences between a paperback cover, a case laminate cover, a dust jacket cover, an audiobook cover, and the paperback cover and how it's different from IngramSpark than it is KDP. So we're going to start with the cover for KDP. This client, Stan Corbin, wanted to, he likes to do his books in 6x9. This is a memoir featuring his dad's story. It's about his dad's time in the military that they had well documented. They had recordings and everything before his dad passed, so he was able to take those notes and compile this memoir. And we are printing in a 6x9. I'm in the middle of moving, so all of my books are boxed up and I can't find them. But they're here somewhere. I just have to find them. So I don't actually have this book in print to show you, but I'll have other books to reference the different formats. So one key element of being a professional designer is or a professional anything really, is you want to work with the long game in mind. You want to make sure that what you're developing can go the distance, so to speak. Like, where are all the places this design is going to go, and how can I best set up my design to work for all of the different parameters, and how do I build my design file. I'm not necessarily going to get into that because that's its whole separate video. But you want to think ahead, and you want to do everything intentionally. You want to select elements intentionally. You want to set up your file intentionally. You want to place elements, choose fonts intentionally, all that stuff. Hopefully you know that. If not, now you do. Alright, so probably one of the books I do the most right now, you know, it comes and goes. I work across multiple genres. Sometimes I'm doing several coffee table books. Sometimes I'm doing several print-on-demand books. Sometimes I'm doing lots of offset printing books. It just depends. So, but this book is a 6x9 that was strictly for print-on-demand and audiobook. So just with print-on-demand, you can do a paperback through KDP and IngramSpark, and you can also do a case laminate only through IngramSpark. You can do a dust jacket with a cloth bound book, or you can now do a dust jacket with a case laminate. A dust jacketed case laminate. It's pretty cool. And so more and more designers are needing to know, like, how do I do that? Like, what does that even mean, right? And so I am a self-taught designer, however, or a book designer. However, I have a very extensive background in technology and software, and I will tell you, it was even with my background in design is extremely complicated, and learning all of the different publishing processes, it is not easy. If anybody tells you it's easy, they aren't doing it properly. Or they're trying to sell you something. Which is it? So this is just our standard 6x9. So with KDP, I have my file set up. It's just 6x9, and I'm using bleed on the top, bottom, and outside margins. Now I have a different video dedicated to cover design. You can set the file up with bleed already built into the document size. So some people that are building their files in non-professional software, maybe they don't have the option of using bleed. So in that other video, I said not to use the bleed, but really I need to do a second video and showing the differences. And really, when you're working with InDesign, it is best to go ahead, when you're working with professional software, it's best to go ahead and use those bleed settings. I'm not even sure what the non-professional software offers, since I don't work in it. maybe you can tell me. I don't know. Are there bleed settings in Canva? I hate even saying that word. But anyway. Okay, so this is just a straight 6x9. That means this back cover it's a 6x9. Let me pull this up. So, there's 3 pages if you set your file up correctly in InDesign. Go see my other video if you don't know what I'm talking about. Like, oh my, 3 pages, what is this magic? Okay, so our front cover is 6x9, our back cover is 6x9, and then our spine is page count times thickness of the paper being used to get your width, and then by 9. So KDP has cream paper and white paper for their black and white books, or the color, for their black and white interiors you have white paper, and its calculation is 0.00225 inches per sheet, and then the cream paper is 0.0025 inches per sheet. Now that's KDP. Okay, so right off the bat, if the client is uploading to both KDP and IngramSpark, then you're going to have to plan ahead to adjust the spine width for IngramSpark. They use a thinner paper than KDP for both their white and their cream paper, I believe. And so that spine width is going to require a minor adjustment to go to IngramSpark, or make sure your spine tech, it just depends on how you have your file set up, so I'm not going to go into a diatribe about that, but you will need to make a spine width adjustment. Okay, how's that for staying on focus? So, alright, so the next cover, okay, so this is for the paperback on IngramSpark. Right off the bat, you may notice it looks different. Okay, so with KDP, you can just create the file to size, no big deal, export that out as a spreads. PDF X.1a is what I use personally. But for IngramSpark, you have to go download a template from them. You have to have the ISBN number, you have to have the number of pages, you have to know other information as well. Okay, so once you get the template, now it's time to put your design into this template. Now, here's the thing. So whereas the KDP cover, you can use the bleed settings, and this is why it's important to know, when and when not to use bleed, and how to use those export settings, because you can export with bleed or without bleed. And so if you wanted to, you could export this cover. Oh, I've got my guides turned off. Let me turn those on. Okay, so this is what it looks like usually when a designer's working. We have our guides up. Where's our center points? Where's our vertical center points or horizontal points? Where's our bleed? Where's our margins? All this stuff. Okay, so you can see this area in between the red and this little blackish line. That area is our bleed. So you can export to include the bleed or not include the bleed. And then when you come here to the IngramSpark template, see when I click here, here, and here, like they have their file set up in 3 different frames, front cover, back cover, so you can just place an image inside there. You can also just build directly on this template if you want to. Again, just depends on the project and the adjustments that you need to make. So this is using white paper for IngramSpark. This has to be the 6.125 by 9.25. And okay, yes, see here in my settings up here. Okay, so this frame size on the IngramSpark template is actually 6.125 by 925, whereas the actual live frame on Amazon, now it's extended out to my bleed, but was initially set up as 6 by 9. All right, so our spine is 0.673 for IngramSpark, And when we go back over here to the KDP cover, it's 6.8634. So you can see it's not a lot, but it is different. It is smaller, and you'll have to be prepared to that and stay within the margins, the margins for the spine on either side. You don't go all the way out to the side. You have to keep it within, or they'll be like, no, it doesn't pass. Okay, and then we have the front cover here. So other than using the, you know, the different frame size, they have the bleed built into their template, and the spine width being different, and the fact that you have to get a template. It's like the more I talk, I'm like, yeah, I should charge more. Right? I think every professional goes through that. When they really stop and explain their processes, they're like, I do a lot. I do a lot, people. Okay, so those are just for paperback books. Like, again, I don't have this book available because it's in a box somewhere in my garage. But just as a reference, this is not a 6x9. It's a 5.5 by 8.5, but it is a paperback, and it did come. This was a KDP print. So, and look at that lovely spine. I get to show it off. I don't really. A lot of my books don't have that super thick spine to allow me to put a beautiful image on it like that. And so I always like when I get a big one, a big spine that I can do some extra design work on. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is a case laminate cover. Now, this one thing about the case laminate, I think this is a 6x9. Yeah, this is 6x9. Okay, so if you look at the case laminate cover, you can see this line here, okay? All right, that is, so like the case, the hardback is a very, very, very thick cardboard. Then they print this part out. I don't know why I have that ponytail holder on my hand. They print this part out, and then they fold the edges over and glue it down, okay? So you have to accommodate for that. Now, does it have to be perfect in every way? No, but I am practically perfect in every way, to quote Mary Poppins. And so I do like to finish that design all the way out to the edge, just because you don't know where else you're going to use it. Just do it right the first time. My dad was real big on that. So, which has helped make me the great designer and process person that I am. We're going to do it right the first time, if at all possible. Save us some time. Our most valuable asset. Okay, so also with the case laminate, you can see you have this crease right there that we're going to have to take into account in the design, okay? So I'm going to close this. I'm going to pull up the case. Oh wait, that's the jacket. We'll get to that in just a minute. Okay. All right. So now this is the template for the case laminate from IngramSpark. Now, yes, it is a 6x9, but this extra, you know, that's like an inch roundabout. So even though it says 6x9 here on the cover, on the template, if you click on the frame, oh, where is it? I did this design a little differently because it didn't, you know, I needed to expand. I had things I had to do. All right, let me pull this up. Okay, so whereas the book is really a 6x9, if you look up here, you can see how the frame size changes. So what you have to design to, this is almost 7 inches now, 7 inches wide by 10.5. And then you have to know, okay, you have to know how to deal, like if I turn off my groupings here. All right, so this is actually what the template looks like. So this blue right here is for the crease area. All right, this is your actual spine, and then you have your front cover, or your back cover and your front cover, and the pink area is your is where you need to keep all of your live elements and where you need to set your Like, if you look at, yeah, here's what the visible margin is on the back, but all this in here is on the template. So the pink area is like from outside edge to the crease, okay? And so sometimes you will want the design to include the crease area, like you'll want to center based on that. It just depends. Like I said, every project is different. But as a general rule, you want to design to that pink area on the case laminate. All right, so I'm going to pop this back up. So when you're selecting elements, when you're doing the design, you need to design to that the larger area in case the client wants to do a case laminate. Now, you will have, like we had this a lot in the sales industry. I worked in sales for a long time. I don't like to do sales. I don't want to do sales. Money is important, but just because electricity is important. I'm very minimalist anyway. I really, really, really don't like the sales environment. Like, can we just help each other? Like, can we just educate each other and let them make a decision based on what's best for them instead of pushing them to buy something? So anyway, I was in sales for a long time, but I left it. I just did not like to work on commission. I actually had them just pay me a salary, and it was less than what I would have made as commission, but I just did not. I wanted to sleep well at night. And for me, everybody's different. I understand businesses need salespeople. I get it. But for me, it was not vibing. I did not vibe with that. But what I did learn was a lot about people. Besides the fact that you can't help stupid, I also learned that people like to throw things in on the back end, and whether that is intentional or not, you have to always be prepared for what could the client ask for that we weren't expecting. And so sometimes the clients don't even know the case laminate is an option. You know, it's up to you as the designer to educate your client and to charge, make sure you build that into your rates. So anyway, I selected designs. I did the layout based on this becoming a case laminate. And so that really the design, I wish I had the two books side by side, but we don't. Well, let me just pull it up in IngramSpark to IngramSpark. Okay, so, and I'll turn off all my things if that's confusing. So you can see that the design, this is the paperback for IngramSpark. It's staying the same. The center points, like the focus, the sizing of the core elements, like I did not adjust the proportion of the elements. And then here it is as a case laminate, okay? So I placed everything, and then I was just able to expand their boxes, their frames, see? I was able to expand their frames out as needed to cover the whole area. So that's the thing about when you're selecting elements, you want to make sure not to work with just a partial image if at all possible. You want to find a whole image that you can crop if needed or use in a full display if needed. All right, so that is on the case laminate. Oh, and again here, see the spine width is different because the casing is different. All right, so this is the jacketed dust jacket of the cover. And even though it is a 6x9, as we see here, you see we have different measurements here. Oh, this is this, and then we have a flap, and then we have to accommodate. Okay, let me pull this up. So this is a dust jacket, right? Now, at the time I did this dust jacket, they were not offering the jacketed case laminate option. So this is the cloth bound option that IngramSpark still offers where they do the printing. Here, and I think I said in another video, oh yeah, my intro video, this used to be gold stamping, foil stamping, but now it's actually printed on. It looks better. It's a lot more legible. Okay, so you can see, I'll just take off the whole thing, which I don't think I can get that far back in my chair. All right, so like, yeah, it's 6x9, 6x9 dust jacket. There's a lot going on. And then we have to design, like, here's the folds that they're talking about, the spine, another fold, you know. So all that has to be taken into account and designed around. You have to know how to set those frames, which, I mean, no book printing's perfect when you have this. So sometimes, just depending on their folding machine, it may not fold correctly, but that's where your quality control with your printer comes in. Print on Demand doesn't exactly have stellar quality control, but both platforms, KDP and IngramSpark, are very good. KDP is extremely responsive if you have an issue with your book. All right, so the last cover style, this is actually digital, and this is for audiobook. So you can see how it's same design, however, because the plane was prominent here, I restructured the title to be one line for Eagle Above instead of 3 lines, but then was able to keep the same balance to it. And that was because I have my elements are all individual, like my, this will just show you here. Okay. Let me pull you down. I'll turn everything off one by one, and then we can rebuild it. Oh wait, I think I said I wasn't going to do that. Here I am. I'm doing it. Okay, so this is the bottom layer. Then I have the Eagle Squadron logo. Then we have our clouds. Then we have the title, which I should name that group. Okay, then we have the Fleet Finch. Okay, Spitfire. I was trying to think of that. Now we have the Spitfire plane. And we have our subtitle, which, you know, all this, some of that, the subtitle, I think I had to resize a little bit. Then we have the author name, and then we have the F-4 Phantom, which I believe is what he flew in Nam. And then we have the narrated by Jim Davis and Stan's wife, Peggy Corbin, who does a wonderful job. All right, so when you're building the cover correctly, everything is individual. We don't, and maybe if you're using it in Photoshop, that's fine, and then you're placing your Photoshop file in as a single file, that's fine. But when you're building the design, all of the elements need to be independent of each other so that you can resize, you can export those for the client, you can create marketing graphics, whatever. Nothing should be merged unless it, you know, even then you can use layers within layer masks, merge layers within Photoshop, so nothing is truly ever required to be merged unless you just need it to be and you know you're never going to go back. Okay, so I don't have an example of audiobook. Oh, is this on here? This isn't on here, but there is this strip that runs across here when you have it on Audible that says something. I must have deleted it when I was cleaning up the design, but that is one thing you have to take into account, is that you can't use this triangulated area of space here, like, because they put a banner there. If you Google it, like audiobook cover template or something, I just designed mine from scratch, so I know to plan for that. Do I have anything else I'm going to show you? Okay, I think that's it for now, but 25 minutes, like, talking at a pretty steady pace, and this is not even getting into the fine detailing. This is just the differences in the types of covers that you have to be able to do if you're calling yourself a professional designer. And then the processes are something totally, different on top of this. But I didn't have anybody to help me when I first started. I couldn't, who do I trust? Where are the quality resources? How do I know? And honestly, it was just so much crying, Googling, YouTubing, no, that's not a good video. No, that's not right. No, that didn't work. And so I do have a heart to help others, not just other designers, but anybody. I love to help people. I'm a middle child. I'm an ENTJ. My love language is words of affirmation. So leave those comments, because I'll be like, oh my goodness, they love me. They really love me. And then I'll work on my voicing later. My kids are always like, no, Mom. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're doing this. So hope this was helpful. Let me know if I can answer any questions, and I'll see you on the flip side.